My husband is very rich, but I don't love him. Back in college, when he was chasing my roommate Jiang Sizhu, he used every trick in the book. Luxury gifts arrived one after another. One day he stood beneath the girls' dorm and ostentatiously sent 9,000 roses. All of us in the dorm benefited. We carried armfuls back until it felt like we were moving an entire flower nursery. Only Jiang Sizhu stayed frosty. She warned Pei Lu, "Don't ever come looking for me again. He's rich, not bad looking. Are you really rejecting him?" I had a sheet mask on when I finally asked the question that had puzzled me for ages. With a face like hers, she still spent every day with that senior who worked 4 part-time jobs. "I don't want him," she sneered. "That kind of mature, dull man. If you like him, go chase him yourself." I propped my chin in my hand, thought for a moment, and nodded. "Fine, I'll chase him." Jiang Sizhu's face changed, but she said nothing more. After taking off the mask, I washed my face and went downstairs. "He has a girlfriend," I told the dog-like figure standing in the rain, gazing up at our dorm. Pei Lu froze, adjusted the gold-rimmed glasses on his nose, and apologized softly. "Sorry, I didn't know." Jiang Sizhu hadn't even told him? He looked downcast and moved to toss the black roses in his hand into the trash. I held my umbrella, watching the flowers get soaked, and thought it a pity. "Black roses, I like those." "Wait, don't throw them away, give them to me." He glanced at the rain-soaked flowers, gave a self-mocking smile, and handed them over. At that moment his white shirt was half wet, clinging to the faint outline of abs. Clean, tall, well-mannered, obedient, and most importantly, rich. Honestly, he suited my taste perfectly. "Hey," I called. He turned back in bewilderment. "I don't have a boyfriend. Chase me." I lifted my umbrella to shield him. "I'm not bad-looking. I sleep early and rise early, run 6 kilometers every morning, eat clean at night, and apply a facial mask daily. More people pursue me than Jiang Sizhu, but I've turned them all down." He removed his glasses and simply looked at me. Time seemed to stretch forever, until his assistant arrived with an umbrella, until his car pulled up at the dorm gate. All right, he saved my number and left. I went back upstairs. I'd looked up Pei Lu's profile. Right after graduation, he started his own company, and it kept expanding. Once he goes back to inherit the Pei group, he'll be even richer. So I couldn't understand Jiang Sizhu. Maybe because my parents fought over money and finally divorced, my top criterion for a partner was wealth. With money, there'd be no quarrels over daily expenses. Back in the dorm, Jiang Sizhu stared at the flowers in my hand, her face grim. "You don't have to worry, he won't bother you again," I said while toweling my hair. I thought she'd feel relieved. Instead, her expression darkened further. "Shameless," she muttered. Her voice wasn't loud, yet the room fell silent. My hand paused. The towel slipped to the floor with a wet slap. I don't usually lash out, but I slapped her. Neither of us was prone to losing control. Yet that day her eyes held some emotion so suppressed I couldn't read it, and didn't care to. The roommates panicked. Some tried to mediate, some said I'd gone too far. Others called her a hypocrite. I truly didn't get it. She'd said the pursuit was a nuisance, said she didn't want him. So why, when I took him, did it become stealing? From that day she moved out of the dorm, and we barely spoke again. I didn't dwell on it. Some called me immoral, others criticized her. I still didn't understand. If she said she didn't want him, why be angry? Still, calling me names was intolerable. Occasionally I heard she'd broken up with that senior. She even ended up working in a subsidiary of Pei Lu's company. If ever he remembered his once fiery first love and wanted a divorce, I had to be ready. Though half the assets in a divorce is unrealistic, I intended to secure as much as possible and learn to manage it. So I kept myself busy. The day I returned from country, Su Yifang, my childhood friend, burst in. "Shen Tinglan, your white moonlight is back. Your first love is back and filthy rich. You married Pei Lu for money. Now you can divorce him and marry Lu Yanchu." For years he hadn't contacted me. He must still carry a torch. Coincidentally, Pei Lu came home that same day and heard every word. He stood in the foyer, immaculate in his suit, face calm, eyes unreadable. Su Yifang turned chalk white, jumped up, and stammered, "Mr. Pei, I was joking. Tinglan would never." "I didn't take it seriously," he said evenly, setting a gift box on the table. "You said you wanted Hokkaido milk crepes last time. I brought some." My eyes flickered, but I didn't move. My assistant reports my itinerary to him. He must have rushed back. "Thank you." He gave a soft then went upstairs. I sat on the sofa staring at the flawless cake, and suddenly found it tasteless. Su Yifang had already bolted. She hadn't expected Pei Lu to return early, nor that he was no absentee husband. I knew he treated me well, just not romantically, not passionately. passionately, not lovingly. Too calm. We're both extremely disciplined. Two similar people rarely spark. The only common ground. Beneath his clothes he's built like a top male model, and at night he's astonishingly intense, controlling every rhythm with almost harsh self-restraint, flawless. Imagining a future apart, I felt an odd pang of loss. I ignored Su Yifang's nonsense. No one could outrich Pei Lu, the so-called white moon. Lu Yanchu had merely pursued me in college. I said I didn't like him, yet he told others I'd agreed. When he kept pestering me, I flatly stated I'd only marry a rich man. Rumors are hard to kill. Somehow he became my first love. Ridiculous. Yet the next day Lu Yanchu texted cautiously, "Lanzi, it's Lu Yanchu. Can we meet? I need to talk." The nickname made me cringe. I didn't reply, but the text unsettled me, not from love, but because he felt like a bomb that, mishandled, could blow a hole in my marriage. One hint of old flame rekindled in the media could be fatal. I'm no love-addled fool. If I want to keep this life, I can't slip. Before Pei Lu files for divorce, I won't be the one to leave. When I went to the meeting, Su Yifang was there too, inviting me for drinks. Lu Yanchu sipped a couple. I hesitated, then took a tiny swallow. Honestly, the liquor was rot gut compared with any random bottle in Pei Lu's cellar. One sip and the room spun. Their faces doubled. I slumped on the table and dimly heard them. "Hubby, you're not allowed to really touch her. We agreed on just a photo, otherwise I'll be jealous." The unforgivable kind. Su Yifang's voice, syrupy and nasal. Who was she calling hubby? "Don't worry, baby. Just a photo and a short clip." With that in hand, the Pei Group partnership is ours. Lu Yanchu. My already foggy brain nearly crashed. Su Yifang and Lu Yanchu? I pressed the speed dial key on my phone, and just as Lu Yanchu's dirty hand was about to reach me, the bodyguard Pei Lu had assigned burst in. "Lanjia, are you all right?" Two more security men boxed them in. The restaurant was locked down in seconds. "What are you doing?" "I'm Shen Tinglin's best friend. We grew up together." Su Yifang panicked. She'd been to my place a few times, seen the staff, but had no idea I traveled with protection. Maybe I never expected my so-called best friend to collude with an outsider against me. What did she want? I didn't understand. If she really needed a deal, she could have asked. Why take such a detour and try to frame me? "Sorry, Shen Tinglan is our schoolmate. We were just chatting. She drank too much. She's drunk." Misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Lu Yanchu began to stammer, keeping up a calm facade while his voice shook. The bodyguard pulled the restaurant CCTV and in front of them, copied the footage. My head was spinning. I felt weightless. When I opened my eyes again, I was in Pei Lu's arms. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes as if he'd stayed up all night. "Husband." My voice trembled. "The wine glass has been sent for testing," he said quietly. "They'll go to prison." I stared at him blankly, a sudden shiver running through me. When Pei Lu is truly angry, the chill is terrifying. For the first time I saw his emotions surface. Always gentle and refined, he yanked off his tie. This was a side I'd never seen, as though the civilized mask had been torn away to reveal something darker. "Pei Lu, was this really my mild, self-controlled, steady husband?" I whispered his name, not knowing which nerve the word touched, but in the end I cried. We stayed up all night, and by dawn I was limp. Was he sick? Or had news of Jiang Sizhu stirred something in him? My guess was right. Jiang Sizhu had been transferred to headquarters. Lanjia. Word from Haisher. Jiang Sizhu and Chen Song broke up a month ago. President Pei will be at HQ for a long stretch. He won't leave until the project's finished. If those two meet face to face. My little assistant had followed Pei Lu for years. After our marriage, she was reassigned to me. She knew about his college pursuit of Jiang Sizhu, and the woman's reappearance worried her more than it worried me. If Pei Lu and I ever divorced, her own position would be awkward. I kept painting indifferent. Worrying wouldn't keep them from meeting. The lethal power of a white moonlight. Lanjia, don't you get it? The assistant sighed. My hand slipped, a stroke skewing the canvas. Though subtle, the line was there. Without Pei Lu I can still afford to keep you. I teased, trying to reassure her. She only looked more defeated, convinced Jiang Sizhu's return would smash my marriage. Poor girl. She didn't believe me when I said I could support her. Lately the assistant kept hinting I should drop by headquarters. I was busy, but finally made time. As I passed the executive building I saw a crowd waiting by the lift. Among them a tall, cold figure turned slowly. Pei Lu. Light gray suit, perfectly cut, expression indifferent, fingertips tapping his phone. He looked like he'd stepped from a magazine. Aloof, hard, unreachable. I rarely saw this version of him. Lanjia, the assistant whispered, jerking her chin toward a woman half hidden behind a pillar. Isn't that Jiang Sizhu? I followed her gaze, yes. She wore a white dress, slim neck adorned with a company badge, makeup light, hair in a soft princess half updo pinned with a pink bow, half concealed. She gazed at at Pei Lu, dazed, complicated, like someone seeing an old love after years apart. The look grated on me, as if someone were eyeing what belonged to me, and instinctively I wanted her gone. Two female colleagues beside her hadn't noticed. Today's meeting will be overseen by President Pei himself, probably run late. The project's huge. The chairman's son is personally supervising, no mistakes allowed. Hey, a billionaire in the flesh, let me steal a few glances and soak up the fortune. At that, Jiang Sizhu's pupils shrank. She bit her lip until it lost color. Watching her devastation, I understood she regretted it. The pure love warrior of college, scoured by society, now knew what she'd missed. The lift doors slid shut. Pei Lu's figure disappeared into the steel seam without pause or hesitation. Jiang Sizhu stood rooted, face bloodless. Sizhu, are you okay? She shook her head, forcing a smile. Just a little dizzy. I took the ordinary lift with my assistant, keeping a low profile. Jiang Sizhu and her colleagues shuffled in after us. Head down, she scrolled her phone distractedly. Whatever she read made her sway. In her daze, she didn't notice me behind my sunglasses. One tactless colleague glanced at her screen and read aloud, "Piggy, can't we talk about the bride price again? You know my family. 288,000 is impossible. Around here it's usually 128,000. The lift fell into an eerie hush. The air congealed. The speaker realized her blunder and shut up. Jiang Sizhu's color drained as if skinned in public. Red flared, then vanished, leaving ashen gray. If I'd known it would turn out like this, back in college I'd never have rejected Pei Lu, she murmured, to herself, or maybe a reflexive counterattack. I tilted my head. She'd actually brought up Pei Lu. My assistant covered her mouth, shooting me a nervous glance. The two colleagues exchanged looks, shock segueing to gossip. Really? You and President Pei? Jiang Sizhu inhaled, nodded with a shy pride. True. Check the Haisher University forum. He once sent me 9,000 roses. The post is probably still there. 9,000 roses and you still turned him down? Her smile froze. Lashes dropped as if a nerve had been tweaked. The colleague pulled out her phone and found the old thread. Pei Lu pursuing Jiang Sizhu. Tycoon splashes out 9,000 roses for the department bell. I was there, epic scene. Wish it had been me. So why did the tycoon chase the department bell and not the campus queen? Weren't they roommates? The colleague pocketed her phone uneasy. Wait, I heard President Pei's wife is also a Haisher graduate. Jiang Sizhu's nails dug into her palms. Only pain kept her composed. He's married, she rasped. Long ago, everyone in the company got a 999 yuan red packet, personally from President Pei, wishing eternal love with his wife. The group chat exploded with blessings. His wife's Instagram shows private helicopters, Pei in a Pullman, her in a Dawn. True tycoon life. Rumor says she's a campus queen beauty too. I raised an eyebrow. Note to self, post less on Instagram. Jiang Sizhu's eyes turned scarlet. Her lips trembled. She must have guessed the woman who married Pei Lu was me, Shen Tinglan. We were roommates. When Pei Lu was courting me, I was still hesitating. She set her sights on him and confessed straight away. I thought it was tasteless, but she slapped me. I don't know what she told Pei Lu. He blocked me that same day. Her voice shook with fury, eyes brimming with hate. The lift went silent. Shocked glances ricocheted. My assistant swallowed, barely breathing. I stood in the corner, sunglasses black, fingers twitching. I wanted to slap her, but reason pinned my hand. One blow, leaked to the media, could give our rivals ammunition and tank Pei Lu's stock. Sizhu, since you know President Pei, could you take these meeting materials to the executive secretariat? The colleague shoved the folder at her, winking. With your looks, he won't be able to look away. Jiang Sizhu hesitated, then gave a poised smile. White dress, light makeup, princess hair. She looked the picture of gentleness. All right, she murmured. I wonder if he still remembers me. She sounded uneasy yet oddly confident. I stayed put. My assistant edged aside, holding her breath. Of course he remembers. White moonlight level, impossible to forget. Honestly, I can't even imagine what our President Pei is like in private. One glance from him and my legs go weak. I feel like I've committed a crime. Jiang Sizhu chuckled softly. Intimate. He's actually very kind, very gracious. You'll see once you get to know him. My assistant looked ready to roll her eyes. The lift opened on the 97th floor. They stepped out first. The receptionist's face iced over. How did you get up here? Jiang Sizhu froze. I'm delivering documents. Then leave them at reception. Which department are you from? Who let you wander in? The secretary's tone was razor sharp. Floor 97 is a restricted zone. The girl beside Jiang Sizhu shrank, terrified. Jiang Sizhu paled. Just then the secretary spotted me, snapped upright, voice suddenly honeyed. Good afternoon, madam. President Pei is in the conference room. Would you like to wait in his office? I nodded, and the secretary immediately stepped forward to guide me, her attitude perfectly deferential. Jiang Sizhu stood frozen, as if struck by lightning, eyes wide with shock, doubt, and a hatred she could barely contain. She had recognized me. Her colleague beside her turned deathly pale, terror creeping over her face as she recalled every word spoken in the elevator. A chill seeped into her bones. They had gossiped about him right in front of Mrs. Pei. When the button for the 97th floor lit up, she had begun to suspect. But the paperwork had to be submitted before clockout, and the application for clearance was a hassle. So she decided to gamble and ride the lift to the 97th. After hearing Jiang Sizhu's rant, she'd even used Jiang as a shield. From the 76th floor upward, only the four of them remained. She'd sneaked a few glances. After all, such a cold, dazzling beauty was impossible to ignore, though the woman's sunglasses and frosty expression kept her from staring. She never imagined that woman was actually President Pei's wife. In real life, she was even more stunning than on Instagram. I said nothing, brushing past the two of them. At the very least, right now Jiang Sizhu still had to watch people's faces just to reach an upper floor, still had to beg to deliver a document. Between her and Pei Lu stretched mountains and rivers. Fine. The lethal power of a white moonlight seemed rather overrated. Shen Tinglan, don't you have anything to say? Furious at being ignored, Shen Tinglan shouted so loudly that every head in the secretariat snapped up. I stopped, slowly removed my sunglasses. Where is the chief secretary? A woman in an impeccably tailored suit hurried over. With one gesture, two assistants seized Jiang Sizhu and her colleague, dragging them away, none too gently. You'd better wait. Jiang Sizhu blustered. A young assistant warned the chief secretary in an icy voice. Don't let her near the executive floor again. Actually, no warning was needed. I had never taken Jiang Sizhu seriously. I came only to see Pei Lu's heart clearly. If a single glance from her could stir him, this marriage wasn't worth clinging to. Pei Lu is ruthlessly disciplined. If old feelings for Jiang Sizhu still lived, he would act. With his business acumen, if he wanted a divorce, I would be driven out in the most wretched fashion, unless I prepared first. He never shows mercy to rivals in the market. I settled into Pei Lu's office. Master bedroom, golf simulator, cigar bar, billiards, even a gaming lounge. Luxurious as ever. His hobbies have always been a mystery to me. He had a 2-hour meeting. I decided to rest. A junior assistant leaned in. Lanjia, did you notice? Jiang Sizhu's outfit today looks a lot like what you wore in college. She paused, excitedly fishing out her phone. I have an old photo. Mr. Pei gave me a month's bonus for it. She began scrolling through tens of thousands of pictures. I'd been so busy lately, forcing myself to carve out time to understand the company situation, that exhaustion hit me. I glanced absently at the screen. Drowsiness surged, and I sank into the leather sofa and slept. I woke to a kiss. Pei Lu had one hand loosening his tie, the other braced beside me, bending down to kiss me deeply. No way to dodge, almost suffocating me. Good. Planning to murder me now and make room for his moonlight? I bit him. He hissed, rubbed his lip, and asked in a low voice, "Why are you here?" I rarely come to the company. His tone even sounded oddly aggrieved. I heard Jiang Sizhu transferred here. I came to see. I stared straight at him, unwilling to miss the slightest flicker of emotion. The man famed in the business world for ruthless brilliance showed a moment of bewilderment, then seemed to understand and curved his lips. I stared at that faintly upturned corner, exactly where I'd left a bite mark. Almost broken skin, glaringly red. He smiled. I sighed inwardly. Looks like this marriage will end in divorce. I'll have to consult a lawyer carefully. Worst case, I'll plant a camera. If Pei Lu commits adultery, I can claim more. While I was still plotting, I was pulled into his arms. He nuzzled my hair. You suddenly said her name. I didn't react for a second. You're jealous. I'm happy. Crazy man. Me jealous? Enough. I have class tonight. I wriggled free. The atmosphere felt strange, and I didn't like it. I tidied my clothes and hair. My assistant always says I'm too polished. My feet are kept milky white, and I'm immaculate in every setting. Like clockwork, I run 6 kilometers every day. I never slack. So today I simply came to see whether Pei Lu was still worth keeping. When I stepped out, he had also freshened up, jacket draped aside, shirt and tie neat, seated at his desk signing documents with a fountain pen, gold-rimmed glasses perched on his nose, every inch the formidable executive. I fly to France the day after tomorrow. About 2 months, I reported, as routine as clocking in. His pen paused. He glanced up deeply but said nothing. I slid my phone unlocked. The assistant knocked timidly and I rose. Let's go. She clutched my bag and followed, whispering, Lanjia. Mr. Pei looked unhappy. When I went in, I could hardly breathe. I hummed. Whether he's happy is none of my concern. After so many years in commerce, Pei Lu rarely reveals emotion. If even an assistant could sense his displeasure, it must be aimed at me. Lanjia, look at the photo. She thrust her phone at me like a treasure. I glanced casually. The picture froze a summer dusk. A tilted umbrella shaded a man. I stood beside him, arm arms full of dark roses. The lens caught the moment our eyes met. I remember that day, rain, slanted sunlight bursting through clouds. I looked at him and smiled. Send it to me. Done. She twirled. Who'd guess 1 photo, 2 bonuses? Lanya, I love you. I ignored her, but the image pulled me back. Driving, she took several deep breaths to calm down. Lanya, that hairpin in the photo, your hairstyle. Jiang Sizhu copied them exactly today. Her words unsettled me. I don't recall ever wearing a white dress like that, or a bow clip, I said suddenly. Yet today Jiang Sizhu, from hair to hem, from makeup to manner, was a mirror image. Something inside me cracked, slowly, like ice pierced by cold needles. No pain, just cold. Drip by drip, the stone splits. I heard the final shatter. A text from Peilu popped up. Let's talk tonight. My usual composure snapped. Talk? About divorce? I tossed the phone. Book me a flight tonight, anywhere. I need to cool off. The assistant stole a glance, puzzled by my sudden frost. No going home, no class. My single impulsive act. I boarded a plane with my documents. On landing, a hotel manager picked me up. The moment I switched on my phone, dozens of missed calls from Peilu lit the screen. Annoyed, I drafted a text. The divorce agreement is drafted. Second drawer of the bookcase. Take a look. Any issues? Have legal revise. Whether to make the marriage public is your call. I switched the phone off. Divorce won't be easy, but luckily I'd insisted on delaying children, always using protection. A child would complicate everything. I soaked in the tub until the water went cold and still couldn't bring myself to leave. Meanwhile, Peilu erupted. What happened today? His black fury was terrifying. The assistant hadn't seen him like this in ages. His voice was low but suffocating. Today, Jiang Sizhu, you remember, the girl from university you chased with 9,000 custom roses, came to the executive floor and ran into Lanjia. In the elevator, she claimed Lanjia stole her boyfriend and slapped her, said she was the one who stepped aside. She even yelled, Shen Tingwan, say something. Without me, do you think you'd be worthy? You'd have no chance. The assistant mimicked Jiang Sizhu's shrill tone, face comically fierce. Peilu's gaze flickered. The temperature in the office plummeted. He picked up the internal line. Within 10 minutes, put Jiang Sizhu on the permanent blacklist for Pei Corporation and all wholly owned subsidiaries. No position, no project, no cooperation ever. The other end gasped. Mr. Pei, strike her name from every investor list. Freeze all approved budgets. Halt projects, pull ads. Each word calm, as if discussing the weather, yet the entire floor felt ice form. She dared climb over my wife's face. She'll learn the cost. He stubbed out his cigarette, stood, voice low and hard. When did she start drafting the divorce agreement? After hanging up, the memory of my text stabbed him. The assistant, eyes wide, knew she couldn't hide it. After Jiang Sizhu broke up with Chen Song, silence froze the air. Just as the assistant felt she might suffocate, Peilu flicked his fingers toward the door. She fled, glancing back. He looked as though he might shatter. She tried frantically to call me. My phone stayed off. I woke to the doorbell, shivering as I left the cooling bath. Outside stood a haggard Peilu. Shen Tingwan, he said, enunciating each syllable, then pulled me into a crushing embrace. What are you doing here? Headquarters was swamped. There was a project he was personally supervising. Why had he flown here? He tore open my bathrobe like a mad beast. I pushed, couldn't budge him. When everything was wreckage, he still held me, arms like iron trembling. Want a divorce? Dream on. I couldn't understand. Peilu. My voice was hoarse, cold as frost. He tightened instinctively. Shen Tingwan. I said I came to talk about your friend Sui Fang. Typical businessman. He switched topics fast. My anger cooled. I'd been worried about her all along. I wanted to know why she did this to me. I couldn't grasp it. She confessed to everything. Lu Yanchu walked away unscathed. Su Yifang will go to prison. I have no other friends, only her. We grew up together. We bickered, but I always gave in. She bottles things up. If I ignored her, she'd hide and cry that I stared at the ceiling, lost for a moment. Why? I couldn't figure it out, but when I can't, I stop forcing it. Things had already reached this point. Whatever her reasons, Su Yifang had hurt me. That was fact. This time, I would not forgive her. I lifted my eyes to Peilu. He had clearly taken Su Yifang's words to heart, yet claimed he hadn't believed them. Lu Yanchu was not my first love. When he pursued me, he spread some rumors. I was furious and warned him off. Was this his revenge? I sighed. Lu Yanchu was handsome and wildly popular. After I rejected him, he couldn't accept it and nursed a grudge. He deliberately spread lies about us. And when he heard I'd married for money, it stung his pride. He started a company, became successful, and returned, probably to humiliate me, only to discover everything he owned was worthless in my eyes. So, for revenge, he went after Su Yifang, someone he would never have approached otherwise. After a calculated chase, she fell. That was why she hid their relationship from me, why in the end she helped him him try to destroy me. Su Yifang and I had both grown up without happy families. She had always longed for a home of her own. A manipulator like Lu Yanchu read her at a glance. He built her a beautiful illusion, and she sank so deep she was willing to go to prison for him. But destroying me out of pure spite seemed excessive. I frowned. How's Lu Yanchu's company? No match for Pei Group. Pei Lu answered instantly. How many companies could rival Pei Group? What was he implying? He knew exactly what I meant. I looked at him calmly, expressionless. He's having cash flow problems. No wonder. I want Lu Yanchu left with nothing. Corporate warfare. Pei Lu was the ace. Roger that. Mrs. Pei. He curled his lips, chin resting in the hollow of my shoulder, suddenly in excellent spirits. I rarely saw him like this, or perhaps I had never truly seen him at all, since he agreed so readily. I thought I'd be kind and remind him, you should go to Jiang Sizhu. She's just broken up with her boyfriend over the bride price. Right now you wouldn't need 9,000 roses. She'd come to you willingly. At the name, his body stiffened. In a husky voice he said, my wife is here. Why would I look for her? True, when you're used to a substitute, you keep using it. Watching my eyes, he looked defeated. He nipped my shoulder lightly, cupped my face, exasperated yet helpless. Let me explain. Back then I pursued the wrong person. The ever-shrewd Pei Lu hates admitting such a ridiculous mistake, but if it's something his wife minds, he doesn't mind confessing his embarrassment. During High University's anniversary, I passed the music room. That day I saw you playing piano for a stray cat. One glance, unforgettable. Unfortunately, I was called away before I could introduce myself. I told myself it was fine. We'd meet again. Later I saw Jiang Sizhu dressed exactly like you. Same clothes, same style. I thought she was you, so I began to court her. It was the first time I'd ever liked someone. As for how to woo a girl, your present assistant gave me the playbook: roses, handbags, lipsticks. On our first meeting I stood in front of Jiang Sizhu with a bouquet. Hello, my name is Pei Lu. Yesterday I passed the music room and saw you playing for a stray cat. It was mesmerizing. May I pursue you? She refused. If you like me because of a cat, I refuse, and I'll never play piano again. After the rejection I was frustrated. I told your assistant, then a freshman, thinking a young girl would understand girls. Jiang Sizhu kept refusing, yet never told me the pianist that day wasn't her. Never mentioned she already had a boyfriend. She simply watched me sink deeper, until the day you came downstairs and told me she had a boyfriend. I was dejected, but then you tilted your umbrella toward me, wearing that white dress, smiling, exactly like that earlier scene. My heart lurched shamefully. It wasn't normal. By instinct I went back to High University's music room to confirm. It was you. I was elated. It had always been you. The one I liked was you. He lowered his head. This affection has an imperfect beginning. I failed, didn't I? I dared not mention it. How embarrassing. But that roommate of yours was unethical. You may not have noticed. She copied everything you wore, and she must have guessed I liked you, knew I'd mistaken her for you, yet deliberately misled me. Every time I declared myself beneath your dorm window, I feared you upstairs would see. That's why I never brought it up. When you married me I was ecstatic. Tingwan, he sighed. But I realized you were always sober, so sober you could walk away from me at any moment. You love traveling, love freedom, just as I love the office, love expanding my empire. I thought we could go on like this forever, yet you asked for divorce. I refuse. Do you hear me, Shen Tinglan? I refuse. A heartfelt confession, cut short by my sudden nausea. I didn't dare look at his face. I was genuinely about to throw up. Holding it back was impossible. I bolted to the bathroom. When I came out, Pei Lu was already dressed, taking me to the hospital. During the ride I turned his words over. I'd always believed he loved Jiang Sizhu, and that I had merely appeared at the right moment, after her repeated rejections, and offered myself as a ready girlfriend. So I never discussed feelings with him, and he tiptoed around the subject. I assumed we would simply muddle through, or break up when Jiang Sizhu returned. I avoided his eyes. In the VIP ward at 3 a.m. the air conditioner was freezing. Congratulations, Miss Shen, you're pregnant. The nurse's sentence stunned us both. We had not planned for a child. I remembered, after the night Lu Yanchu tried to harm me, Pei Lu had been frantic. Afterward I forgot the pill. We looked at each other in speechless silence. The nurse smiled awkwardly. Avoid intercourse during the first trimester. She rattled off a list of instructions while Pei Lu took notes earnestly. He had designers start converting 2 nurseries that same day. On his phone he sent voice messages messages to his assistant, then looked up. Shin Tinglan, do you think little Pei will look like me or you? Boy or girl? If it's a boy, I'll teach him business from day one. Save him a lot of detours. The image of a miniature Pei Lu sitting beside him, expressionless, signing papers, made me shudder. Girl, I cut in. The corners of his mouth lifted. Little Lon would be adorable. In my mind appeared a tiny girl in pink, soft and rosy. I glanced at him. This man was terrifyingly shrewd. 2 sentences, and he'd drawn me into daydreaming about the child. Moments earlier we were discussing divorce, totally unprepared for parenthood, still hesitating. Yet he accepted the new role instantly, and began guiding me to accept it too. After several minutes in bed, I decided to speak plainly with Pei Lu. I will not tolerate infidelity, emotional or physical. If during our marriage you fall for someone else, the assets will be split 3 ways. The child and I take 2/3. You keep 1. Pei Lu drew a long breath. Agreed. I knew, of course, this clause was largely symbolic. With the Pei Empire behind him, he could rise again at any time. The next day, every member of Pei Lu's teams flew in, triple pay, flights and accommodation reimbursed. Between work, he rushed to my side, bringing a legal team to draft the agreement I'd demanded. Only after signing did I relax. Strangely, having the safeguard I'd always wanted didn't make me happier. Pei Lu set up a company in my name, installed a professional management team, and mentored me personally. I had written for a while, so I learned quickly. He looked surprised. Shin Tinglan, if you'd entered the business world earlier, we might have been equals. I said nothing. I thought so too. Perhaps everything I had now was built on Pei resources. Standing on a giant's shoulders is easy. Once the company launched, I was busy. Pei Lu watched nervously, but when he caught my rare smile, he relaxed. Now you have a company, Shin Tinglan. Whether I'm here or not, you can negotiate with me as an equal. Could you try to love me? Holding the nutritionist's soup, this tall man bent slightly, awaiting my verdict with anxiety. I said nothing. At the start of our marriage, I could have tossed out a casual, I love you, even if untrue. Now I couldn't bring myself to fake it. Finally, I nodded. All right. The chairman and his wife of Pei Group sent gifts to every employee, reportedly to celebrate their coming grandchild. I stared at the ugly, wrinkled little bundle, and felt no surge of maternal love. Maybe I was the exception. Other mothers wept with joy. A miniature Pei Lu, utterly bizarre. Little Pei, Mummy loves you and Daddy too. That towering man holding the tiny bundle looked absurd. He bent and whispered into the baby's ear. I seemed to see yet another side of Pei Lu. Watching him, I couldn't help smiling. Did I love my husband? Before little Pei arrived, I could have said no and walked away at any time. Yet while Pei Lu explained, I felt the knot inside me loosen, drop by drop. The day I played for the stray cat was the day my parents divorced, 2 families tearing each other apart. I was the fragment about to shatter. The piano notes rebuilt me. I never imagined that scene would freeze in someone else's world, that someone would gather my broken pieces and say, I like you, love. My heart had already fluttered.